Good morning, y'all. I got my dog here trying to hop in front of me. Um so I I wanted to try to do a live video just talking about life and two words. Confusing and hard. And that's for a lot of things, including anything. Um I want to try not to say because I did that when I was painting a lot yesterday. And this is my dog. So I know my whole life I've been sensitive, and sorry I'm sick. And as a child, I kept quiet a lot because I didn't want to deal with any more reactions. It seemed like there was a lot going on, and it was very stressful as it was. And growing up, um, I felt like things have never been the way I've wanted them to be, and I've had to realize that I've never been happy. I've recently went through a narcissistic marriage, and I've been able to have alone time by myself a lot. And to me, it's always felt like peace, to recharge because I'm also really introverted. But I can talk to people easily and have friends. But I used to be a workaholic. I didn't like being alone. So technically, I ended up being a codependent empath because I really didn't like adult life. And I've been learning how to not be like that anymore when the world's becoming so codependent. Like, I'm codependent on coffee, and I'm trying to drink like 1 cup a day only. I've never liked living alone. I've always had animals. Um, they make me, I feel like other things make me feel alive. I think that's part of being an empath, is it makes you feel alive to be around other people. They do not give me energy though. They drain me severely. And it's because I can empathize with them, and I know how they feel, but I just wish I could help them. And I've tried to help a lot of people, and it seems like the more I tried to help them, the worse it got. Like, they got more angry at me. And being a certain type of person where it's like I hold my beliefs really strongly, and I'm a routine person. I like to do things a set way. People have all these personality types out there, and I basically found all the labels, and labels, they shouldn't be that important because we can always change as people, but we do have like our set ways. And I'm definitely a fixed person where I like things to be the same all the time. And so life has been difficult because it's not how I would want it to be, right? And I know there's a lot of people living alone right now, and I know that we all want some type of validation, and that's why I think it's important to tell people that you really need to find hobbies and things of your interest. And weirdly enough, I've realized that one of my favorite things I like to do is talk. And I don't know why. I guess I just miss I miss intimacy and the way of communicating. I miss sharing thoughts and sharing feelings, even though it can be awfully exhausting. And I've always been like the type of person where I wanted to only be married once. And so I was married, and it seems like it's all now over. And ever since then, along with my past of having many family members dying, I've been struggling to like keep the pieces together. I almost feel like my world is falling apart like every day. I feel like I'm starting over every day, and I don't know how other people feel, if they ever feel like that. Like they just feel like they're starting over every day. Um, it's interesting because, as an example, when I was in my marriage, I was so tired, like being a parent, that I got to a point where I had to tell my spouse that I needed some air to breathe. I needed some time to myself, and that they had to step up. That was me trying to like take care of myself and regain some of my independence that I apparently have to have, which everybody really needs to be able to function correctly or more like your normal self. And so I knew that was like the step I needed, and it never got to that point. But I knew that I had to start loving myself. I had to start sleeping more. I need time to myself. I wanted to just exercise. I just wanted to be alone. Like just be left alone completely, because it feels like a restart button. And it's like when you have like romantic relationships and you stop and you have that break, it doesn't feel like a reset button because, all the dramatic things going on. But it's really important to have a reset button without bad things going on, to make sure you have that in advance. So, like, as my personality type of like being an empath, I feel like my purpose in life is to make things better, is to make people better, to make people feel better, because that's what makes me feel better. I know there's a lot of talk about narcissists where it's like they say, well, narcissists, they take to feel better. Well, empath give to feel better. And when you're living in this digital world, it's very hard to give unless you do it like this. And see, this is basically what I feel like it's coming down to. Because I really don't have any siblings to hang out with. I don't have friends at all anymore because I haven't been a workaholic to have those people to regularly like talk to in person. And I lost my spouse, and I have days every week where I'm completely alone. And it's hard because, like on days like this, there's set things I'm supposed to do. And it's difficult because it's an emotional hurdle that I have to overcome, because I feel like I've lost my identity. I can't necessarily be the giver that I want to be. And I think this is how a lot of like parents struggle, especially if they have children. I mean, you go from having, let's say, 3 people in the house to like being just you. And what's weird about it is technically I should be able to have probably a day to myself every week, but I really don't like having like more than that, because I think everybody's codependent. Like we really are. It's just the fact that we're codependent on all these substances and all these other things that I think that it's just, got out of control. And it's easy to get lost. Sorry, my nose is running. Um, it's like I like to be in the middle. I really do. And that's where I feel my most peace. Like, I really don't like having a dog that, wants to follow me around all day. So I love that. I don't. I'm like, follow me. Let's sleep together. Let's snuggle together sometimes. I'm the sometimes person. I've had to learn that recently. I'm the sometimes person. Um, it's very important to let people know how you feel, especially as an empath like myself and being introverted. Like, you definitely have to let your family and your friends and your partners know that you have to have it for your sanity. You can't just say, I need time alone. Like, that's what I was trying to do. I never had to ask before, which I knew I had to. But it's like, I had never had to until that point. And, um, it wasn't granted to me, which I feel like is a freedom everyone's supposed to have, If somebody asks for some independence, that's a big thing because they shouldn't even have to ask. See, what's weird with some relationships is sometimes you'll get into these relationships where they want to have their freedom to be with other people or to be alone, but they don't want to give it to you, and that's not right. Um, you have to be that way from the beginning, apparently, and I'm having to learn these things. I'm learning like boundaries. Life's confusing, like especially when you feel like you can't trust yourself. Because apparently, some people, like myself, if you make one big mistake, you feel like you can't trust yourself the rest of your life. Um, and it's like, yeah, I could trust myself. I know it's possible, but at the same time, I'm terrified. I don't want to make any more mistakes. Like, I'm in that part of my life where I just almost want to do a title of I'm terrified to be in another relationship. And I've wondered and thought about it. And I'm like, I'm the independent empath. Like, as an empath, like, I don't want validation. I think that's what narcissists do. They want validation. And empath just wants to give. And see, for some reason in my mind, let's say giving love to my dog here, right? It don't feel the same than, let's say, it needs to be somebody on the same mental wavelength, or at least close enough. Like, it has to be human, right? Someone that can actually talk. And I think a lot of people feel that way too, probably. And so I've been using like outlets. I had a counselor I was talking to, and I miss her. It's funny, my counselor is like my best friend, if you don't count like my dad. And like, your children are not supposed to be your best friend. I know a lot of people say they are, but mine can't be. I'm like, I gotta be the role model, That's how I am. So I've wondered several times, how am I gonna play out my life? Because people are more distant and distant and distant. You can't. I've I've tried going on dates. Like, I've tried to date. I've only been on one date, and I've been single going towards 2 years now. And I'm like, okay, so let's say I can't. So if I can't like date anybody, if it's already hard to have friends, I'll say like if I were to meet 10 people, I'd probably be friends with only one of them. And I don't relate to a lot of people. It's interesting how like people that can't relate to people very well or get along with people very well, or how we can still get in relationships. I'm gonna blow my nose. So life's scary because I don't have a problem attracting people into my life. I have a hard time keeping them in my life because apparently they're not good people. It seems like besides validation in the world or having someone, it's like a lot of things are based off of looks. Like I've had people tell me like they want to be interested in me just because I just cut my hair off. And so it's like, okay, so if I can't find anybody decent to date, if I can't, like find anybody I can relate to on a friend level, and I'm just gonna be working the rest of my life until I retire, and I'm like, I'm doing these outlets, you know, online stuff just feels like an imaginary world to me. You remember those so-called imaginary friends we were supposed to have? I don't remember ever having an imaginary friend. I just remember playing by myself a lot, or with my siblings, or my animals a lot. I feel like my animals were usually like my friend. I mean, when I was like 10 years old, there was at one point I had at least like 8 animals by myself, taking care of all of them, just taking care of them. And I've been that person who's always been like the caretaker, and I get so Oh, shoot. Man, I was saying all that in the quiet. Darn nose. Okay, well, I can restate what I was saying. I'm sorry. Maybe I should just blow my nose on here. At least you got to see my dog, right? So I was just saying, like, being in a narcissistic relationship, like a marriage, and it's weird how, like, over time, we have these moments in life where we'll talk about this topic or this topic and this topic. It's funny how, like, I've been through a narcissistic person and that how it's relevant to me, and then everybody's talking about it like it's trending. It's weird. But it takes that type of person apparently to do certain things, and I am grateful that I've went through my experience because it woke me up as a person to reevaluate my thoughts and my feelings and my life. But the downside is it really does hurt you. It traumatizes you because then it makes you see so much that's almost hard to, like, comprehend it all. Because when you look at your past relationships and you actually start seeing there's a pattern, and everybody has some type of pattern, right? Just making sure this thing's on. And so, I've heard of other people saying, like, they've given up on relationships because they don't want to keep having that pattern happen. It's like I've tried to trust people, and those ended up being the same type of people. I've also tried to get away from those type of people. It's just like, why do I keep attracting the same type of people? And I think it's kind of because I can't change who I am, And so there's days where I literally hate being an empath sometimes, and I'm practicing self-love. So it's like, how am I supposed to love myself if I hate being how I am because of what comes to me because of who I am? Like let's say another example. No humans, right? Like this dog here. Every dog I have drives me nuts because they won't leave me alone. Because I must love them enough or give them enough love where it's like they get obsessed with me. I don't, it's like, it's nice to know they love you, but it's like, please back off. And that's how it is with people too. Because when I tell somebody, please ask for my permission, please ask if I'm available, they get really upset with me. And they're like, oh, I can't please you. I'm like, I don't want you to please me. I just want you to respect me as a person. And that's what I struggle with in this world, being an empath, because it seems like people who are empaths, we have a tendency of being more submissive, but that doesn't mean it's okay for somebody to step on us. And so, yeah, it's terrifying to date, and it's like, I know what I'm capable of. I know I could, like, do anything I've ever wanted to, but I still have, like, hurt inside. And I thought it'd be interesting to just be an independent empath the rest of my life. More of a way, I guess, to protect myself and to protect my family, because I do value family a lot. I really believe in like my marriage. It didn't even get to worse, and I'm like it's like a slap in the face. Like, what just happened? I am gonna get my counselor back so I could talk to her more about like fears and how I'm traumatized, because I've already had what they would say is like PTSD. Like, I don't like people knocking on the door. It's like weird stuff. But yeah. I I I I would like to start writing a book soon about going on when it seems like everything has disappeared in your life, because that's what life feels like. Um, I've lost a lot. It's even hard to say it sometimes. I've lost some of the most important people in my life. I lost my mother. I lost a baby. I lost my sister and my grandpa. That was like my second dad. And life is weird. You know, the counselor that I talked to, um, she's been such a good woman to me and helping me through these things that I've not been able to talk to a lot of people about. It's weird. It's like she has the same name as the girl my husband's living with. It's like all these things, but I've become more sane, more peaceful, more sober, more like myself after all these things have happened than I have in a long time. I was lost for a while and I didn't even know I was that lost. And so I've been grateful. I still struggle though because I miss having relationships. Like when I got married, I thought like that'd be my new family almost, you know? And I'd have some of my family back in a way, and it didn't last long apparently. And so I lost that too. It's happened a couple of times because I fall in love with people and I fall in love with their family too. And when they betray you, it's hard. It feels like being exiled and you don't understand why. It's only for the simple fact of like your ex don't like you anymore, don't love you anymore. I'm like, I was asked once, are you in love with that person or do you love them? And I'm like, what's the difference? You either love somebody or you don't. I've never been able to understand the concept of pretending and trying to lie to people all the time. There's a lot of things in this world that I don't understand or don't know, and I can't relate to it. And, you know, I don't have that much family left, and so it's like, at some point, it's like I'm gonna be the oldest one all over again. And, you know, with my children, it is like, what kind of life am I going to set? I have to set a successful, healthy example, which I got a clean slate now with myself. I still want to be able to feel like I can give and possibly help other people who are going through the same thing, you know, on here. Showing that even if you like cry every day, it's okay. It's better than being numb. Just because you don't have anyone around, it doesn't mean you're less of a person. It doesn't mean you have less value. It doesn't mean any of those things. It just means that you just don't have anybody around. And that still in itself is a very hard concept. I guess I could just say just be grateful. Because if you're questioning why people aren't in your life, you're good enough right there, because you know it. You know it somewhere that you're good enough. And the main thing is trying to force yourself out of your comfort zone to try new things that you haven't tried before. The most important thing is to control what you can control. Like, try to do anything that makes you happy. Because it's weird how these things work. It doesn't make you feel happy like when you don't do it. And then when you do these things, it may also feel like you're not enjoying it. But it's like when you're done with it, it's like that moment of being like proud of yourself. I don't know, at least for me, that's what it's like. I'm a result solution oriented person, so that's what makes me happy. So you have to figure out what type of person you are, not based off of others necessarily, but just how you feel on the inside. I think it's good to have somebody that can be non-biased, though. Someone that's not out to get something in particular. Like having a counselor, I think, is really good example because you give them money. You know what they want. They want money. You give them money. Therefore, they don't want anything else. They're not going to be distracted. You pay them. They give you what you want. It's a simple transaction, and that's good because then what you want from them is to help you see yourself. You want them to bounce these things back off of you. You want to have them so you can talk to them to hear yourself. Like even I'm hearing myself. I'm hearing my state of mind. I'm hearing where I'm at right now. And that's why it's good to have people to vent to. That's why it's good to have friends. Like, because it's all noise. And you don't have to trust all this, but you need to see what's there because sometimes we do go off of that and make actions, and we're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to make actions when there's not all that noise. But there are people that are, professional and all that. And it's good to have somebody to mirror off of that's healthy. Because what I think's happening is like everybody's mirroring off negative people. You don't need if you have a bad friend, don't get advice from a bad friend. If you got a good friend, you're probably going to get good advice from a good friend. If you got a neutral friend, you're probably going to get neutral advice, which is probably the best, which is like a counselor. That's why it's good to do that. Try things before you give up on it. I mean, heck, it's taken me a while to just get on here on YouTube. I've tried other methods to build myself up, and you definitely got to learn about yourself to build yourself up too. Like, I don't know. I fluctuate with my emotions a lot. That's who I am. But like being alone is really not the end of the world. It's just these emotions we have. And so you just gotta do what makes you happy. And I'm like, man, I wish I was like a radio host or something because I just it makes me happy though. Like it does. Like I love talking to people. But in person normally. Like as a kid, I didn't even like calling on the phone. I don't even like texting. Everybody can't read each other in texting. Like when I text people, they get pissed with me. I'm like, why are you pissed? People take it the wrong way. So this is kind of like more close to in person as you could get. I'm surprised more people don't Skype. Maybe they do more than I know. I just don't go around Skyping people. But I don't know. I hope this has been beneficial for someone, like that you can understand that it could be worse. It's funny. I have a job where I talk to a lot of peers, and they're like, I don't know if I can do it anymore. And they got family help, like watching their kids and stuff, like all week long. And, they're living with their parents and stuff. And I'm like, I was walking 4 months last year with absolutely like no car. I had to ask permission from my ex that left me. And it's like, you got a car or, your family help and stuff. And you think you can't take it anymore. And I mean, like, even with me, it could be worse. I could be homeless. But I think it's funny, like, when people are comparing lives and they're like, I can't do it anymore. and then when they hear about how it could be worse with somebody else's life, they're like, what? I feel better now. But I don't know. I just like to sum it up. Basically, like, when I lost some of these things, I just felt like I lost everything, and that's how a lot of people feel. And I kind of just didn't care if I lost everything. I kind of wanted it all taken away. and it didn't happen like that because God looked after me. God gave me a car. God's made sure I've had a home. And it wasn't because I was a bad person. It wasn't because I did anything wrong. I didn't. I was just influenced by other people in the world, because that's what happens when you trust other people. They influence your life. And so if they leave your life, they have some type of impact on you, whether it's emotional, physical, financially, any of it, And so, yeah, rely on your outlets. Rely on God, your creator. Rely on the people that you love. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Sometimes you need to ask for help just to help yourself. Sometimes you may have to ask for help from a stranger. So that's when you really get your blessings, is to use your resources. I've had to learn that the hard way. So you'd be amazed what'll happen. Man, she's hyper. Well, thank you for watching, and like I said, I hope I've made somebody feel a little bit better. Don't doubt yourself, or don't listen to those thoughts anyways, and maybe I'll see you again soon. Take care. Enjoy your day. Thank you.